All right, one ball and one strike to Bonald, the third baseman, Orlando Ortiz, on the mound for the Blue Devils. Still got a little paperwork to do, but I'll do what I can to get things going here. One ball, two strikes to the leadoff hitter, Bonald. He had a double and was 1 for 3 in the first game. That's outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ortiz with a 3.36 ERA. There is a foul ball, so we'll do the 1-2 again. That ball could be gone. So a lead-off home run for Bonald. That's going to bring up Mendoza. Mendoza was 1 for 4 in the first game with a base hit. He takes strike one called. That ball's hit Mendoza, so hit by a pitch. That's going to bring up Freeman. Freeman was 1 for 2 with an RBI double, a couple of walks. He'll step in with nobody out, runner at first. Coffeyville Red Ravens have taken a 1-0 lead on the leadoff home run by Bonald. There's a bunt that's going to be a bunt hit. So Freeman with a bunt hit. So runners at first and second, still nobody out. That's going to bring up Ortiz. Ortiz, the first baseman. Ortiz was 1 for 4. Had a double, a pop out, and a couple of ground outs. He'll be up there with runners at first and second and nobody out. It's a swing and a miss. Comes the 0-1. Swing and a miss of that pitch. So quickly down in the count, 0-2 is Ortiz. There's a foul ball sprayed, just trying to stay alive, and does Ortiz. 0-2 the count to Ortiz, the first baseman. Nobody out. Runners at first and second. There is a swing and a miss, so a strikeout for the first out of the inning. That's going to bring up Rent. Rent is the catcher. Rent was 0 for 2, a couple of pop-outs in the first game. There's a swing and a miss. So Ortiz and Rent, neither one getting cheated on their swings. They're swinging out of their shoes. 0-1 the count. There's a ball into center field that's going to score 1 run. So a bloop base hit for Rent and an RBI. So runners at first and third now for Rockers. Rockers was 1 for 2. Had a base hit, a called out on strikes, and a couple of walks. He'll step in with 1 out, runners at first and third. Outside ball 1. Comes the 1-0. Outside ball 2. So 2-0 the count to Rockers. Strike called. 2-1. Back in at first safely. Ground ball back to the pitcher. Ortiz over to Sosa for the out, so 2 outs. So that's going to bring up Carroll. Carroll was 1 for 3 in the first game with a base hit. Misses inside, ball 1. Ground out, a pop out, and a base hit, and then scored. 1-0 the count to him. Runners at second and third, 2 outs. Low and inside, ball 2. So 2-0 the count on Carroll. Comes the 2-0. Misses high. 3-0 the count. Comes the 3-0 from Ortiz. Outside ball 4. It's going to bring up Jalen Smith. Jalen was a pinch hitter in the previous game. Swing and a miss. Comes the 0-1. Inside, ball gets away from Everett, and a run scores. So 3 runs in the inning. That one on a wild pitch in the dirt and bounces off the catcher too far away and allows the run to score. High and inside, 2-1. It's a 2-1, swing and a miss. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on for the Red Ravens here in the second game on the day. Blue Devils took the first game 9-3. That was a 7. This one will be a 9. Comes the 2-2. Strike 3 called. So 3 runs in the first half of inning for the Red Ravens. Blue Devils coming up to bat. We'll be back. All right, Acosta, Santiago, Hinestroza, Sosa, Everett, Henry, Harder, Bednar, and Holder. The offense for the Blue Devils. Acosta hits one to center field on the first switch for the out. Center fielder Noah Wallace takes care of that. It's going to bring up Santiago. Santiago was 1 for 3 with a double and a run scored in the first game. Strike is called. Comes the wind and the pitch from Farrell. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Farrell has a 5.08 ERA. There's a swing and a miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Farrell is from Tulsa, Oklahoma. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Santiago. There's a foul ball backing over the top of us, so we'll do the 1-2 again. Comes the 1-2 to Santiago. The ground ball headed up the middle. taken by Mendoza and over to Ortiz for the out. That's going to bring up Hinestroza. Hinestroza was 1 for 4 in the first game. He reached on an error and scored. He had a base hit and scored and then flew out to center field a couple of times. He's up there with 2 outs and nobody on. There's a strike called. Comes the wind and the 0-1 from Farrell. There's a ground ball headed toward Mendoza. It is mishandled by him, and Hinestroza reaches on an error. It's going to bring up Jose Sosa. Sosa is the first baseman. He was 2 for 4 in the first game. Had a base hit, an RBI base hit, and scored a run, and then a double. A couple of ground outs to third base. He'll be up there with 2 outs and a runner at first in Hinestroza. Swing and a miss. Oh and 1. Throw over to first. Back in safely is Hinestroza. Ground ball foul. So 0-2 the count. Currently the wind blowing in from left field out of the north to northwest. Oh and 2 the count. Throw over to first. Hinestroza back again. Oh and 2 on the number 4 hitter, the first baseman, Sosa. There's a ground ball foul down the third baseline. Three runs in the top of the first 4. Coffeyville. There's a ball headed to left field. So a 2-out hit for Sosa. That'll bring up Everett. Two outs, runners at first and second. Hinestroza at second, Sosa at first. Everett at the plate. He's the catcher of the second game. There's a breaking pitch, just gets down far enough to be in the strike zone. 0-1 the count. Early going here in the second game. The first one went to the Blue Devils 9-3. Yesterday, the Blue Devils took a 6-3 win and a 14-8 win down in Coffeyville, Kansas. Here comes the 0-1. Way inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. One and 1 the count. Strike called right through there. One ball, two strikes, two outs, two on. Outside. So now a lot of twos, two balls, two strikes, two outs, two on for Griffin Everett. Griffin asked for a timeout and granted. Comes the stretch and the 2-2. Foul ball backing out of play. So we'll do the 2-2 again. Comes the pitch, way high and inside. Going to get away from the catcher, and the runners moved up to second and third. So 3-2 the count now on the catcher Everett. See if Griffin can get something on the outfield grass, get a couple of these 3 runs back. Here comes the 3-2 pitch. Pop up, gonna hope to get back here, and the catcher able to make that play. So at the end of 1, Blue Devils down 2. The Red Ravens 3-0. We'll be back. Top of the second inning. Ortiz back to the mound for another inning of work. He gave up 3 in the first inning. Scheduled up Wallace, Bonnell, and Mendoza. Wallace, the center fielder, swinging a miss at that first pitch. 0-1. outside, 1-1. Foul ball. Swing and a miss for that strikeout. So Wallace down on strikes. Back to the top of the orders, Austin Bonnell. He led off the game with a home run to left field. He'll step in to face Ortiz again with 1 out. Strike called. 0-1. Foul ball. It's Bonnell's 5th home run on the year. Just misses a little bit outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Safe on the check swing, so 2 balls and 2 strikes with an out. Top of the second action, second game. Blue Devils have taken the first 3, but they've fallen behind 3-0 here. There runs the count with that pitch. Runs the count full. Comes the 3-2. Pop up down the left field side. Holder underneath that. And he's got it for the second out of the inning. It's going to bring up Mendoza. Mendoza was hit by a pitch his first time up. He'll step in with 2 outs, nobody on. Just a little bit inside. One and 0 the count. Comes the wind and the pitch. Swing and a miss. Actually, foul ball into the catcher's glove, so 1 ball, 1 strike on Mendoza. Comes the wind in the 1-1. Foul ball. Comes the wind and the 1-2. A little bit outside. Not chasing was the shortstop. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Here comes the pitch. Outside, ball 3. So 3-2 the count. Orlando Ortiz on the mound. Mendoza at the plate. There's a line drive right at Trace Harder for the 3rd out of the inning. So at the end of 1.5, Blue Devils trail by 3. We'll be back. To the bottom half of the second inning we go. Farrell back to the mound for some more work for the Red Ravens. Henry, Harder, and Bednar scheduled up for the Blue Devils. Henry takes ball one. Henry was 2 for 3. Couple of runs scored and an RBI in the first game. There's a foul ball out of play down the right field line, so 1 ball, 1 strike to Tyler Henry. Comes the wind and the 1-1. Out at first base. So third baseman Austin Bonnell over to Ortiz for the out. It's going to bring up Harder. High ball 1. Harder was 1 for 3 in the first game, but he had a double with 2 RBI and a ground out that yielded a run, so he had 3 RBI in the game. There's a strike called. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out to Trace Harder. This is a second baseman. Strike called on the outside corner at the knees. Comes the wind and the 1-2. The ground ball headed at the second baseman over to Ortiz for the second out. So Freeman to Ortiz for another ground out. It's going to bring up Kemper Bednar. Bednar was 0 for 2 in the first game. Hit by a pitch and a strikeout and a ground out. So he'll be up there with 2 outs and nobody on. Inside ball 1. Comes the wind and the 1-0. Strike on the outside corner at the knees. 1 ball, 1 strike to the shortstop, Kemper Bednar. Foul ball into the net. One ball, 2 strikes. Just misses a little bit low. That's a pretty tough pitch to let go right there. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. Here in the bottom of the second inning, Blue Devils trail by 3. There is a ball hit to the third baseman. He's up with it and a strong throw over to first for 3 ground outs in the inning. At the end of 2, Blue Devils trail the Coffeyville Red Ravens by 3. Ortiz back to the mound for his third inning of work. Gave up 3 runs in the first. In the second inning, he went 3 up, 3 down. Maybe he'll settle down and keep it rolling this way. Freeman, Ortiz, and Rent scheduled up here in the third. Freeman had a bunt hit toward third base his first time up. There's a ball headed to left field. It's going to drop and be a base hit. So swinging at that first pitch, Freeman gets a base hit to left field. It's going to bring up Jorge Ortiz. He struck out his first time up in this second game. Ortiz with 9 doubles on the year. He steps in. Nobody out and a runner at first. Over to first, back in safely. Outside, ball 1. One and 0 the count. Runner at first after the leadoff hit here in the top of the third by Freeman. High fly ball down the right field line. Way deep, but way foul. One ball, one strike. Throw over to first, back in safely is Freeman. Time asked for and granted by Ortiz. Jorge Ortiz facing Orlando Ortiz, who's on the mound for the Blue Devils. So Ortiz versus Ortiz here. 1 ball, 1 strike. Runner at first. There's a foul back into the net, so 1 ball, 2 strikes. One ball, 2 strikes. Infield playing the hitter to pull. It's another foul back and out of play, so we'll do the 1-2 again. Comes the 1-2. Runner goes. There's a ground ball that's going to be cut off by Harder. Back to Sosa for the out. So the first out of the inning, and it moves Freeman to second base. It's going to bring up Easton Rent. He had an RBI base hit to center field his last time up. He'll be up there with 1 out and a runner in scoring position at second base in Zach Freeman. He had a leadoff hit. It's outside, ball 1. Comes the 1-0. There's a ball up the middle. Over to first base by Bednar for the second out. So a 6-3 ground out, and the runner moves to third. So 2 outs now, and that's going to bring up Brady Rockers. He grounded back to the pitcher his last time up. He'll be up there with 2 outs and a runner at third. Three-zero lead for Coffeyville. There's a strike called outside corner at the knees. Comes the 0-1. So I'll pop up on the infield over to the right field side. Sosa over and makes the play. So we go to the bottom half of the third. Blue Devils trail 3-0. We'll be back. To the bottom of the third we go. Blue Devils trailing the Red Ravens by 3. Raymond Farrell back to the mound for his third inning of work. Brady Holder steps in. He swings and fouls the first pitch back. He was 0 for 3 in the first game. Had a ground out, a fly out, and reached on an error. 0-1 the count on him. Infield and outfield play him straight up. There's a ball in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. Comes the wind and the 1-1. Swing and a miss by Holder. Holder, the third baseman. 1-2 on him as the Blue Devils, and he leads off for the Blue Devils here in the bottom of the third. Curveball just didn't move enough. Breaking ball catches him on the shoulder for a hit by a pitch. Nothing you hate any more than to get 2 stripes on a hitter and then plunk him. So back to the top of the order, and Acosta, he flew out to center field his first time up. He'll step in with a runner at first, nobody out. See if the Blue Devils can get something going here and get some of these runs back. They trail by 3. Outside, that's going to be a pass ball right off the catcher's glove, and Holder moves up to second base. So 1-0 the count to Eduardo Acosta. Time asked for by Acosta. Acosta from San Herman, Puerto Rico. 1-0 the count on him. Foul ball backing out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. One ball, 1 strike, nobody out. Runner at second base. Holder led off the inning by being hit by a pitch by Farrell. Comes the 1-1. Turns to bunt and strike called. So 1 ball and 2 strikes on Acosta. Low. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Outside ball 3. 3 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Runner at second base is Holder. Eduardo Acosta, the center fielder, at the plate. Comes the 3-2. There's a ball headed for left field. That's going to be a base hit. Sending Holder toward home, so an RBI base hit to left field for Eduardo Acosta to get the Blue Devils on the board. It's going to bring up Santiago. Santiago grounded out to the shortstop his first time up. Throw over to first base, back in safely. Was Acosta. Throw over to first again, back in safely. Three to 1 the score here in the bottom of the third. Blue Devils trail by 2. Throw over to first. Again, back in safely is Acosta. Ball blocked, and down to second goes Acosta. The catcher has it between his feet, launches one, and the pitcher just barely is able to duck far enough to get underneath it. Just about plunked him. 1-0 the count. Runner at second base, Acosta. Santiago at the plate, 1-0 the count. Time asked for and granted by Santiago. Want to know the count? Santiago, the designated hitter. comes the stretch by Farrell and the pitch. There's a ball headed into the corner. It's going to be extra bases for Santiago and an RBI. So he's into second base with an RBI double to cut it to a 1-run lead, making it 3-2. Going to have a visit to the mound. So 2 runs in, still nobody out. Hit by pitch was Holder. Then Acosta drove him in. Then Santiago drove Acosta in, and he is at second base, still nobody out. So Hinestroza, he reached on an error by the shortstop his first time up. He steps in with nobody out to face Farrell with Santiago at second. There's a ball headed up the middle. It's going to be an RBI base hit for Hinestroza up the middle, so that ties it at 3 here in the bottom of the third. The Blue Devils put up 3 in the first, and now the Blue Devils have put up 3 here in the bottom of the third with still nobody out.
You said Blue Devils twice. You said Blue Devils twice.
I get all crazy and going fast, and sometimes I say Blue Devils when I should say Red Ravens. Nonetheless, it's tied at 3 on that base hit by Hinestroza. Strike to Sosa. Sosa had a base hit to left field his first time up. Hinestroza at first, score tied at 3. It's a foul ball. Bottom of the third action, 9-inning game. Blue Devils have taken the first 3, 2 in Coffeyville yesterday, and the first one here in KCK today. Still nobody out. Throw to first. Back in safely is Hinestroza. 0-2 the count on Jose Sosa, the DH, or excuse me, the first baseman, the cleanup hitter.
What did they do, Phil? Scoped it. They just trimmed off some parts.
Comes the 0-2.
They didn't even put him to sleep.
Swing and a miss, and the one hopper to second base he couldn't handle. So Sosa down on a strikeout for the first out of the inning and a stolen base for Hinestroza. Coach Martin out with a complaint that the swing of Sosa and the strikeout got out in the catcher's way. Was hoping to get Hinestroza called out at second as well, which we have seen happen this year. So as soon as they get this cleared up, which I don't see anything changing, we're going to have Everett at the plate. He popped out right back at the screen to the catcher. The catcher made a nice play right at the screen. Everett's first time up. 4 and out. Both teams with 3 runs on 4 hits. Coffeyville Red Ravens have made 1 error in this second game. So that'll bring Everett to the plate. Everett had a pinch hit in the first game and had a double. Plugged the right center gap. Was out on a pop out in this game. There's the first pitch to him, a high fastball. He was swinging and missing. 0-1 the count. Comes the 0-1. Low and outside, ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 1 on. Hinestroza at second base. He stole second on the strikeout of Sosa. That the first out of the inning. Here comes the 1-1 from Farrell. Inside, turns on that, does Everett, and drives it foul over wide of Coach Goldbeck. One ball, 2 strikes. To Everett, outside and low, so 2 balls and 2 strikes with an out. Farrell in his 3rd inning of work. Starter of this game for the Red Ravens. There's a ground ball right back to the pitcher, kind of fumbling around with it. Gets a hold of it in time. So Hinestroza moves over to 3rd on the ground out by Everett. Going to bring up Tyler Henry. He grounded out on a nice play deep at 3rd base over the bag. 3rd baseman Bonnell, there's a ball hit over to the first baseman. He'll step on the base for the 3rd out. So 3 runs in the inning. Score tied at 3. We go to the top of the 4th. Stay with us. Thanks for watching. Top of the fourth we go, tied at 3. Orlando Ortiz back for another inning of work for the Blue Devils. Red Ravens will send up Carroll, Smith, and Wallace. Carroll reached on a base on balls his last time up. Strike right through there at the waist. Oh and 1 the count. Way outside and high, ball 1, so 1 ball, 1 strike to Carroll. Foul ball out of play over the third base dugout. Oh and 2 the count. Another foul ball down the left field line and out of play. Comes the wind and the 0-2. Another foul. Back into the net. Comes the 0-2. There's a ground ball. Ortiz grabs it and over to Sosa. So just at the peak of his jump, able to get that one for a 1-3. Nice play, probably saved the base hit of Carroll. It's going to bring up Jalen Smith. He was called out on strikes. He's swinging on the first pitch. Drove the ball deep to right field. That's over the top of Henry. Henry's got it at the warning track, and that is a 1-out double for Jalen Smith, the left fielder. It's going to bring up Noah Wallace. He struck out swinging his first time up in this second game. He'll be up there with 1 out and 1 on after that double by Jalen Smith. Jalen will be at second with 1 out. Foul ball backing out of play. Oh and 1 the count on Wallace, the center fielder. Swing and a miss, didn't want to, but he did anyway. 0 and 2 the count. Oh and 2 to the center fielder, Wallace. In the dirt, blocked nicely by Griffin Everett. Comes the stretch and the 1-2 from Ortiz. Ground ball at Holder. Holder up with it. Across to Sosa, and Jalen Smith has to stay at second. So a 5-3 ground out for Wallace for the second out of the inning. Back to the top of the order for Austin Bonnell. Bonnell will step in with a runner at second, 2 outs. He had a home run in the first and popped out to the third baseman in the second. He'll step in with 2 outs. Swing and a miss for strike 1. Breeze blowing straight in almost from the north, from left field, a little bit from the west, but nonetheless against the hitters that might pull. There's a ball going to be thrown down and out at third base. The ball gets away from Everett. He hustles over to get it, throws high, and Brady Holder with an acrobatic catch and a tag of the diving Jalen Lewis for the third out. So at the end of 3.5, we're tied at 3. We'll be back. Bottom of the fourth we go, tied at 3. High and inside to Trace Harder. He grounded out to the second baseman, his first time of this game. It's a ground ball that eats up the shortstop. Air on the shortstop. So Harder reaches on an air. Just going to bring up Kemper Bednar. He grounded out to the third baseman his first time up. So the air allows the leadoff hitter Harder on. Harder on at first base. Bednar at the plate. Squares to bunt, takes high and inside, ball 1. Comes the 1-0. Bednar squares to bunt, foul down the first baseline. One ball, one strike. Bednar squares to bunt, gets to the third base, and he's going to be out at first, but moves the runner to second base. So a sac bunt moves Harder down to second. That's going to bring up Holder. Holder was hit by a pitch his first time up. Runner at second. Holder at the plate. Outside nicely blocked by Rent. One and 0 the count. Catcher Rent's going to go out to visit with his pitcher a little bit. So back from that visit, everybody back ready to go. Holder at the plate. Timeout asked for. Harder at second. He reached on an error by the shortstop. Bednar sac bunt, moved him to second. Now Holder's up there trying to get the run home to take the lead with one out and one on. Inside. So 2-0 to Holder. There's going to be a ball caught, a soft line drive out behind second base, caught by the second baseman. Freeman for the second out. So Holder out. Didn't get quite enough out into the outfield to get it on the grass. It's going to bring up Acosta. Acosta's flown out to center field and had an RBI base hit to left field and scored a run his second time up. Comes the pitch. That ball's back to the screen, so a wild pitch by Farrell will move Harder to third base. So 2 outs, runner at third. Comes the pitch. Swing and a miss by Acosta. So 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs. Harder at third. Acosta up there trying to get KCK the lead here. They're tied. There's a line drive right at the shortstop for the out. So at the end of 4, we're tied at 3. We'll be back. Stick with us. All right, here we go to the top half of the 5th inning. We are all knotted up at 3, back to the top of the order for the Red Ravens. Orlando Ortiz back to the mound for the Blue Devils. Bonnell, Mendoza, and Freeman. Bonnell has a home run and a pop out. There's a strike called. 0-1 the count as he leads off the top of the 5th for the Red Ravens. There's a ball hit deep to center field. Acosta going back. He's got it. That's the only part of the ballpark that holds that fly ball for the first out of the inning. It's going to bring up Luis Mendoza. He was hit by a pitch, scored a run, and then hit a line drive at Trace Harder at second base. He'll be up there with 1 out and nobody on. Comes the wind and the pitch from Ortiz. That's inside, ball 1. There's a ground ball at Holder. He's got it. Over to first, and Sosa kind of comes up but goes back down. So a 5-3 for the second out of the inning. It's going to bring up Zachary Freeman. He had a bunt hit and then a base hit to left field. He'll be up there with 2 outs and nobody on. Swing and a miss. 0-1 the count. Swing and a miss. 0-2 the count. Freeman steps back in. There's a foul ball out of play. Freeman sprayed that one over the third base dugout for another opportunity here with 2 strikes. 2 strikes and 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. Ball low. Had the umpire kind of bailing out of there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Knotted up at 3 here in the top of the 5th. 9-inning game. There's a ground ball headed to Harder. Harder's up with it. Over to Sosa. So a 4-3 out. A quick 3 up, 3 down inning. And that's 2 3 up, 3 down innings in a row. We'll be back for the bottom of the 5th. Bottom of the 5th. Tied at 3. Farrell back to the mound. Santiago, Hinestrosa, and Sosa scheduled up for the Blue Devils. Santiago is grounded out and had an RBI double and scored a run in this second game. He'll lead off the bottom of the 5th for the Blue Devils. Ball in the dirt and ball 1 to Santiago. Comes the wind and the 1-0. Outside ball 2. So 2-0 to Santiago. Comes the wind in the 2-0. Ball 3 all the way back to the screen. Three and 0 the count on Kevin Santiago, the designated hitter, as he leads off for the Blue Devils here in the bottom of the 5th. Tie score at 3. Strike 1 called outside corner at the knees. 3-1. Comes the wind and the 3-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. So once ahead in the count, 3-0 with Santiago. Now Farrell has it back to 3-2. High fly ball over to the third base side. I'm not sure where the ball went to that it came back, but nonetheless, it was not handled, was that foul ball. So we'll do the 3-2 again. Comes the 3-2 from Farrell. There's a base hit right up the middle. So Santiago with back-to-back hits, and he leads off here in the fifth with a base hit up the middle to get things started for the Blue Devils. That's going to bring up Hinestroza. Hinestroza has reached on an error and has an RBI base hit and a stolen base. At his second at bat, he'll step in with nobody out and a runner at first base in Santiago. Ball misses. 1-0 the count to Eric Hinestroza. Comes the stretch and the pitch by Farrell. Runner goes, swinging and a base hit up right where the shortstop left. Here comes the play at home, and Santiago is going to be out at home. So the hit and run is on. It works perfectly as Hinestroza hits it right into left center, but thrown out on a nice play by Coffeyville to get the out at home. So at second base with one out now is Hinestroza. Brings Jose Sosa to the plate. He has a strikeout and a base hit so far in this second game. Nicely blocked was that ball by Rent. Rent has caught both games today. Salmon caught the second game yesterday. The catcher, Rent, has caught both of them today. Here comes the 1-0 pitch. There's a ball lifted to shallow left field. That ball's going to drop. So you get a hard hit ball that yields an out, and then you get a bloop into the outfield for an RBI double for Jose Sosa. So the Blue Devils take the lead. We're going to have a visit to the mound. Blue Devils take the lead on that base hit. And that's just the way baseball is sometimes. May have a pitching change coming. We'll take a break. We'll get the changes, and we'll be back. Blue Devils take a 4-3 lead here in the bottom of the fifth. Matthew Hunt in to pitch for the Red Ravens. He has a 7.39 ERA. He'll step in to face Griffin Everett. 1 out and a runner at second base. Breaking ball just misses. 1-0 the count. Comes the 1-0. Breaking pitch, called strike, just catches the inside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 1 on, 1 run in the inning. Comes the 1-1 from Hunt. Foul ball out of play down the third base line. Hunt has a 1-3 record, 12 appearances. 39 strikeouts, 16 walks. He's given up 4 home runs. Outside, that's a pass ball, gets by the catcher. Sosa over to third. So 2-2 the count. Everett at the plate, 1 out. Runner at third. Foul ball back to the screen. Sosa on at third. He had a double, moved up, RBI double, then moved up on that pass ball. Comes the 2-2. The foul ball headed over the first base dugout. Two balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Everett at the plate. Sosa at third. 1 run in the inning for the Blue Devils to take a 4-3 lead here in the bottom of the 5th. 9 innings scheduled, second game of the day. There's another foul ball. All right, everybody, we're kind of going again here, but I'm still working on getting my cameras going. So we are in the top of the sixth. You saw the last out of our inning made, and then there's a ground ball up the middle for Rockers. So I'll give you a little audio here for a minute till I can get my cameras going again. So a 2-out hit by Rockers, and this is the only camera I have going right now, so hang with me here and I will get the other cameras going. See what I got here. I got you. One ball and no strikes. Runner at first. Carroll at the plate. Strike on the outside corner, so 1 ball, 1 strike. Still 5-3. Jalen Smith to the mound. Go ahead, I can hear you. Runners at second and third. A double by Jalen Smith is going to score 2 runs. So Jalen Smith with a double to the left center gap. 2 runs in the inning to tie the score at 5. Still working on my tech and All right, everybody. I am back. Had a little difficulty, and you you may have figured by now. Whenever those things happen, I'm kind of the guy to take care of it and the announcer all at the same time. So sorry about that. Hoped you could see as much as I could try and get to you. Brady Holder at the plate. He's up there with a 2-2 count. Nobody out. The 2 runs that the Red Ravens scored, there's a strikeout for Holder. He was after a high fastball, come up empty. So at the end of 5.5, we're tied at 5 here to catch up a little bit. Matthew Hunt had come in relief. You were here for that. It's going to bring up Eduardo Acosta. He's 1 for 3 in this second game. That ball's outside. So bottom of the 6th action. Hope the computer sees fit to finish the game after its little hiccup. Here comes the 1-0. Right through there for a called strike 1. I appreciate your patience with it. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Let's get this thing going and let's get the 4th win and get this sweep finished here. Eduardo Acosta at the plate, 1-1 the count. That ball's all the way back to the screen. So 2-1 the count. There's a high fly ball. I got one thing that I have not fixed, and that is one of my buttons that changes to another camera. So that fly to right field, that's 2 outs. So my wide angle camera, I am without a button for now. So I will try and get that fixed as soon as I can. So 2 outs after that fly to right field. That's going to bring up Santiago. He's 2 for 3 in this second game. Has a double, a single, and a ground out. That's low and outside for ball 1. Want to know the count? Here is the pitch. One ball, 1 strike to Kevin Santiago, the DH. Outside, ball 2. Comes the 2-1. Ball headed to right field. The second baseman, Zachary Freeman, with a play out there for the 3rd out of the inning. So at the end of 6 full, we're tied at 5. We'll be back for 7, 8, and 9. Stay with us. Thanks. All right, here we go to the top of the 7th. Max Storch from Olathe, Kansas is in to pitch. Just misses low. Bonnell, Mendoza, and Freeman scheduled up here in the top of the 7th to face Storch. Breaking ball catches the outside corner. Pretty wide corner to me. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bonnell has a home run and a couple of pop outs. 1 to center, 1 to third. There's a curveball. And strike called on the check swing. So 1 ball, 2 strikes to Austin Bonnell. Comes the 1-2 from Storch. It's a ground ball at Holder at third. He's up with it and over to first to Sosa for the first out of the 7th inning. It's going to bring up Luis Mendoza. Mendoza is the shortstop. He takes the longest of anybody I've ever seen to walk to the plate. Takes his sweet time, but he's there now. He's ready to step in. He's been hit by a pitch, hit a line drive at the second baseman and grounded out to the third baseman. Misses outside, ball 1, so 1-0 the count. From Storch to Mendoza. Comes the 1-0. Low and outside, ball 2. So 2 balls and no strikes with 1 out. The shortstop, Luis Mendoza, batting for the Red Ravens. This thing's all tied up at 5. There's a breaking pitch right through there. 2 balls and a strike. To number 5, Luis Mendoza. Just misses. 3-1. 3-1 the count, 1 out. Wind blowing in from left field. Comes the 3-1. There's a ball deep to left field. Hinestroza has that back in. So a 1 out single for Mendoza. It's going to bring up Zachary Freeman. He'll be up there with 1 out and 1 on. Pitch is down low. 1-0 the count. Comes the 1-0. A little bit low, ball 2. 2-0 the count. Comes the 2-0 from Storch. Over to first, back in safely. The Red Ravens with 3 in the first, 2 in the 6th. The Blue Devils with 3 in the 3rd and 2 in the 5th. Both teams with 5 here in the top of the 7th. That ball just misses. Up and out. So 3-0 the count to Zachary Freeman, the second baseman. Strike right through there at the knees. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Over to first, back in safely is Mendoza. Over again, back in safely again. Comes the 3-2. The one hopper to Harder and safe at first. That's going to be an error on the second baseman. So 1 out. Runners at first and second. It's going to bring up Jorge Ortiz. Struck out and grounded out twice to the second baseman both times. See if he can hit a ground ball right at us here from this camera. That just misses a little bit up. 1 ball, no strikes. 1 out, runners at first and second. Mendoza at second, Freeman at first. Ortiz at the plate. High and outside again. 2-0 the count. Three 0 the count on Ortiz. Bonnell led off with a ground out to Holder. Base hit by Mendoza. Then Freeman hits a ball that come up on Harder at second, but should have been handled for an error. And that's where we are right now with 3-0 the count. Runners at first and second. There's a strike on the outside corner at the knees. So 3-1. Storch to Ortiz. Comes the 3-1. Ball 4, that's high. So bases loaded, 1 out. That's going to bring up Easton Rent, the catcher. He has a base hit, a ground out, and a pop out. Going to have a visit to the mound. We'll see what changes are made, and we'll be back. So Max Storch will stay for now. 1 out, bases are loaded. Easton Rent at the plate. He's the catcher, number 39. Foul ball, strike one. A little bit low and outside. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. All knotted up at 5, bases loaded. Red Ravens threatening, so 2 balls and 1 strike to the catcher, Easton Rent. Nine innings scheduled game. It's a ground ball. Harder with it, tosses. So 1 run in on all that craziness. Ball up to Harder. He tosses for the force out at second to Bednar. On over to first. Safe there. Throw to home. 1 run is scored. A run down with the runner that was at second. So 6-5, but 2 outs. That brings up Brady Rockers. He steps in with 2 outs. Ground ball to Holder. He's up with it and over to first base. Excuse me, not to Holder. That's actually Bednar. Over to first. So the Red Ravens get 1 run in the top of the 7th to take a 6-5 lead. We go to the bottom of the 7th, trailing by 1. We'll be back. Bottom of the 7th, Blue Devils trailing 6-5. They'll scheduled to send up Hinestroza, Sosa, and Everett. to face the reliever Matthew Hunt. Hinestroza reached on an error, had a base hit and a double. Takes strike one. Ball just misses. 2-0 the count, my mistake. Comes the 2-0 to Hinestroza. Fastball back up the middle. Second baseman with it over to Ortiz. So Freeman to Ortiz for the first ground out and first out of the inning on Hinestroza. It's going to bring up Sosa. Sosa has a single, a strikeout, and a double. The double was an RBI double, and then he went ahead to score. Step in with one out. Breaking ball stays inside 1-0. Comes the 1-0. Another breaking ball stays right in there again, so 2-0 the count. Two straight breaking balls that stayed inside on Sosa. Outside. So 3-0 the count to Jose Sosa. Strike called outside corner at the knees. Comes the 3-1. Foul ball, that's going to get out of play. Three and two the count. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and an out to Jose Sosa. Matthew Hunt on the mound for the Red Ravens. There's a foul back to the screen, so we'll do the 3-2 again. The ground ball headed into left field. So a 1-out hit for Jose Sosa. That's going to bring up Griffin Everett. He's popped out to the catcher, grounded out to the pitcher, and grounded out to the third baseman. He'll step in to face Hunt with 1 out and Sosa at first. First pitch to Everett is a strike called at the knees inside part of the plate. Oh and 1 to Everett. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 1 on. Blue Devils down by 1 to the Red Ravens of Coffeyville here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Scheduled 9-inning game. Second game of 2 here today. 4 of the series from 2 yesterday and 2 today. outside, nicely blocked by the catcher Rent. Yesterday, the Blue Devils took the first one 6-3 and the second one 14-8 down in Coffeyville. They took the first one today 9-3 here at KCK, and they trail by one 6-5 here in the bottom of the seventh inning in this final game of the 4-game set. Outside ball 3. So 3-1 to Everett. The count is his way with a runner at first and one out. That runner at first is Jose Sosa after the base hit into left field. Comes the stretch and the 3-1 by Hunt. Foul ball back into the screen. So 3 balls, 2 strikes, and an out. Hunt to Everett. Swing and a miss for the second out of the inning. Brings up Tyler Henry. Henry's grounded out to the third baseman and once to the first baseman, but has a triple when he plugged the right center gap his last time up. He's up there with 2 outs and Sosa at first. Breaking pitch stays inside. Want to know the count to Henry. There's a throw over to first. Back in safely is Sosa. Want to know the count, 2 outs, Sosa at first. There's a ball headed for the wall in right center. Sosa falls down. Falls down, rounding third. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't score there. He might be thrown out, so we live to see. We're going to have a visit to the mound. Probably have a pitching change, but not sure if they have someone up warm and ready. Haven't noticed that down there. It's hard to see down there. So we'll watch this little break and the visit to the mound, and then we'll be back. 2 outs, runners at second and third, and Trace Harder coming to the plate. All right. Hunt stays on the mound. Trace Harder comes to the plate. Harder is grounded out, reached on an error and walked. He steps in with the tying run and the go-ahead run in scoring position, but with 2 outs. Comes the pitch. There's a ball headed to center field. And to take care of that is the center fielder, Noah Wallace. So at the end of 7, Blue Devils trail 6-5. We'll be back. Top of the 8th we go. Gabriel Ramos to the mound for the Blue Devils. He is from Deltona, Florida. He has a 3.95 ERA. He'll face Carroll Smith and Wallace. A little bit low, ball 1 to Carroll. Comes the 1-0. There's a strike right through there. So 1 ball, 1 strike from the reliever Ramos as he faces Carroll. Comes the 1-1 outside. 2 balls and a strike to Carroll. Comes the pitch. Foul back to the screen. So 2 balls and 2 strikes to Carroll. Comes the wind from Ramos and the pitch way high. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Carroll. It's ball 4. So a leadoff walk to Carroll. It's going to bring up Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith has had back-to-back doubles. His last 2 at bats. He's up there with, so throw over to first, back in safe is Blake Carroll. Outside ball 1. Throw over to first. That ball gets away from Sosa. So Carroll hits second, decides to stay there. So the pickoff attempt from Ramos up the field to where Sosa could not get to it, got by him, and Carroll ends up at second base with nobody out. Jalen Smith at the plate. Comes the 1-0. Misses outside, ball 2, so 2-0 the count on the left fielder. Foul ball down the left field line and out of play. Two and one the count. Comes the 2-1 way outside, so 3-1 the count on Jalen Smith. High fly ball on the infield. Holder coming over to take care of that for the first out of the inning. So that's going to bring up Noah Wallace. Noah will step in with one out and Carroll at second base. A little bit low. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 out. Strike called on the inside corner. One ball, 1 strike, 1 out, 1 on. 1 run lead by the Red Ravens. Comes the stretch and the pitch by Ramos. Swing and a miss. So 1 ball, 2 strikes on the center fielder, Noah Wallace. Strike 3 called, catches the outside corner. So 2 down, back to the top of the order we go for the Coffeyville Red Ravens, back to Austin Bonnell. Austin, the third baseman. He's had a home run, couple of fly outs, and a ground out to the third baseman. Outside, ball 1. So 2 outs now with a runner at second base. Comes the 1-0. The ball headed up the middle. Coming on hard is Acosta. The throw to the plate is too late. So a base hit to center field, an RBI to give Coffeyville a 2-run lead. And then Bonnell moves up on the throw to home. So that's going to bring up Luis Mendoza. He's been hit by a pitch, lined out, grounded out, and singled. Strike called, outside corner. Seven to 5 lead now for Coffeyville here in the top of the 8th. It's a foul ball into the screen. Comes the 0-2. Swing and a miss. The end of 7.5. Red Ravens of Coffeyville lead your Blue Devils of KCK 7-5. We'll be back. Bottom half of the 8th inning. Matthew Hunt back for another inning of work. Coffeyville leads the Blue Devils 7-5. Bednar, Holder, and Acosta scheduled up for the Blue Devils. Bednar a couple of misses inside. He's got a ground out, a sac bunt, and a strikeout. He's up there leading off the bottom of the 8th, trying to get something going for the Blue Devils. They're down 2 here. There's low and inside ball 2. 2-0 the count on Kemper Bednar. Strike called. 2 balls and a strike. Low and outside, so 3-1 the count on the shortstop, Kemper Bednar. Foul ball back to the screen of that pitch. So 3-2 the count on Kemper Bednar. A 7-5 lead for Coffeyville. Strike 3 called. It's going to bring up Brady Holder. Brady's been hit by a pitch and scored a run. Hit a line drive behind second base to the second baseman and struck out. He'll step in with 1 out and nobody on. Breaking pitch just catches the inside corner for a strike called. The ball headed to right field. And fighting the sun a little bit, Carroll makes the play. So a punch out and a fly out. We've got 2 outs, and that's going to bring up Eduardo Acosta, the center fielder. He is 1 for 4 on the day with a base hit, RBI, and a run scored. Comes the wind and the pitch, outside ball 1. One and 0 the count. Hunt on in relief of Farrell. Comes the 1-0. There's a ground ball wide of third base. One and 0 the count. 2 outs. There's a ground ball wide of third again. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Foul ball back and out of play. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs to the center fielder, Eduardo Acosta. Little bit outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs.
He thinks I speak fluent Spanish. Speak more than me. That's not good. You do. You also know Spanish. I knew what he was saying, but I was like.
Ground ball at the third baseman. Bonnell up with it and over to Ortiz. So we go to the top of the ninth. Blue Devils trail 7-5 to Coffeyville. We will be back for the ninth. Top of the ninth. Ramos back for another inning of work. Scheduled to face Freeman, Ortiz, and Rent. Red Ravens lead by 2. Comes the first pitch of the ninth. Strike on the outside corner. 0-1 the count. On the second baseman, Zachary Freeman. There's a fly ball to deep center field. On his wheels back is Acosta, and that ball's going to be down at the warning track. Headed for 3 is Zach Freeman, and he has a lead-off triple for the Red Ravens. Jackson Wilcox will be a pinch runner. Wilcox is from Eastboro, Kansas. He will pinch run at third base for Freeman. Ortiz steps in. Jorge Ortiz, the first baseman. Strike called. Ortiz has a strikeout, a couple of ground outs, and a walk in this second game. Swing and a miss. 0-2 the count on Ortiz. Each team has 2 errors. Strike 3 called for the first out of the inning. So that's going to bring up Easton Rent. Rent has a base hit for an RBI, 1 for 4 in this second game. 7 runs on 11 hits for the Red Ravens, 5 runs on 10 hits for the Blue Devils. Kemper, Bednar in, everybody in at the grass. Bednar has that one, looks the runner back and over to Sosa for the out. So 2 down now with a runner at third. It's going to bring up Brady Rockers. Ball is down for one. 1 ball and no strikes, 2 outs. So a leadoff triple and then 2 outs. Jackson Wilcox pinch running at third. There's breaking ball for strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs. Jackson Wilcox pinch running at third. That ball is low. 2 balls and a strike. Comes the wind and the 2-1. Foul ball back and out of play. Two balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. Swing and a miss. So at the end of 8.5, Blue Devils trail by 2. They need 2 to tie, 3 to win. We'll be back. Turn that on. Hunt back for another inning of work. Santiago, Hinestrosa, and Sosa scheduled up. The Blue Devils need 2 to tie, 3 to win. Santiago has a ground out, a double, a single. He is 2 for 4 in this second game. Comes the 1-0, swing and a miss, so 1 ball and 1 strike on Kevin Santiago. It's a ground ball headed for right field. So a base hit, so a 3-hit day for Santiago. It's going to bring up Eric Hinestrosa. Hinestrosa also with a single and a double. Run scored and an RBI. There's a strike. Breaking ball right through there. Santiago with a leadoff hit. Eric Hinestrosa Steps in on the left-handed side. Comes the 0-1. Ground ball headed to right field, going to turn and throw. So 4-6 fielder's choice to get an out. So Hinestrosa reaches on a fielder's choice.
So you eating those cake bites, man? You gotta eat those cake bites. You don't want them.
So 1 out. Sosa at the plate. 1 out. Hinestrosa at first. There's a foul back and out of play. Turn back over to see how many of these make the soccer field. 0-1 the count to Jose Sosa. Ball headed into center field. That's going to be a base hit. So a base hit for Jose Sosa. That's going to bring up Griffin Everett. Everett is 0 for 4 in this second game, but he had a pinch hit double in the first game. So 1 out, runners at first and second. Hinestrosa at second, Sosa at first, Everett at the plate. Blue Devils down to their last 2 outs. They need 2. That breaking ball just catches the inside corner. Oh and 1 to Everett, catcher of this second game. He's facing Hunt, the reliever for the Red Ravens. Foul ball back to the screen, so for the moment, Blue Devils down to just 1 out. So they're down to 2 outs. They trail by 2. They have 2 on. The tying run is at first. The winning run is at the plate. Oh and 2 the count on Everett. Foul ball down the first baseline, so we'll do the 0-2 again. So wanting to get a visit from the mound by Mendoza and Rent. Hinestrosa at second, Sosa at first. Matthew Hunt on the mound in relief for the Red Ravens. Griffin Everett at the plate, 1 out. Blue Devils trail by 2 in the bottom of the 9th. Comes the 0-2 from Hunt. Ball headed for right field. That ball's going to be down.
Oh my gosh! Score. We need to run. Score. We need to run. Score. Go. We can get thrown out.
So Hinestrosa is going to be out. A late stop sign at third. And is this Matt Schrick is now at third. So we now have 2 outs. Going to have a visit to the mound. We'll take a break, watch to see if there's any changes. We'll be back. Okay, in all of the craziness, we get tagged out in a rundown, a second out, and we're going to have Tyler Henry at the plate with the tying run at second base. But there are now 2 down. Ball's low and inside for ball 1. So the bad news is we now have 2 outs. The good news is we still have an out to work with, and we have 2 runners in scoring position for Henry. So 1-0 the count. Swing and a miss. Pitch on the outside part of the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs. Tying run at second. Winning run at the plate. Blue Devils trying to complete the sweep here, but trail by 2 to the Coffeyville Red Ravens. One ball, 1 strike, 2 outs. Inside, ball 2, 2-1 the count to Tyler Henry. Tyler Henry trying to get this thing tied up or at least keep it moving. Two balls, 1 strike, 2 outs. Henry at the plate. Schrick at third. Strike call, just catches the inside corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on. Blue Devils trail by 2. Henry at the plate, the right fielder from Gardner, Kansas. Freshman. In fairly tight on the plate. Comes the wind and the pitch from Hunt. That is inside. Ball 3. Three and 2 the count, 2 outs. Tying run at second base, Tyler Henry at the plate. The ground ball headed at the shortstop. He's up with it and over to first. So the Red Ravens salvaged the 4th game of this. They win it 7-5. So So yesterday, down in Coffeyville, the Blue Devils take 2, 6-3, 14-8. They take the first one today, 9-3. But they lose the fourth and final game to Coffeyville Red Ravens 7-5. So they take 3 of the 4. They will have next week to work on things to get ready for the playoffs. They have a bye this next week. There are 4 teams, I believe, that still have 4 games to play. So we'll watch that to see then the next week. So 2 weeks from now, we will have a 2-game series. They do have a game Tuesday, but I'm talking against who? Yep, Maple Woods, but it'll be a non-conference game, so I'm mainly talking about the conference games. But they do have a game Tuesday to work to get ready for the playoffs, which will be in about 2 weeks, and they will have a 3-game series against the other half. I believe they have clinched to be sure that they would play at home in the playoffs and will have third. So they will play the 6th place team in the Western Division in a couple of weeks. Thanks for listening. Keep an eye on the website. We'll bring you games or give you background information as to where you can watch. I appreciate so much those of you that watch. The Blue Devils having a great year. Keep an eye on things. That is the final from here. We'll talk to you next time that they have a conference game, which will be in a couple of weeks, against a playoff team, or in the playoffs from a team from the Western Division that will come here for a 3-game series. Have a good rest of your weekend. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.